Hi, I'm Steve Gladys of Steve Gladys Leadership Partners, a leadership development firm. We're here today to talk about, and we're at the George Mason Enterprise Center, by the way. We're here today to talk about the third area but the fourth in the series, the third area in our coaching circle here, the ideal state. This all comes from a book that we did called The Coach Approach Leader. And what I want to talk about now is that if you've identified the issue and you've helped people really get to the issue, and obviously in the previous videos we talked about maybe a guy's having a problem with somebody who's a cube mate right next to him. What's the current impact state? Where's that issue right now? Maybe they're not talking to each other. Maybe they're avoiding each other, and things have gotten worse. The third part of this is the ideal state, and the ideal state, and so it's kind of over here we're talking about the ideal state. It's really interesting. When people are in the middle of a problem, their peripheral vision literally changes. Their ability to think more widely and come up with more solutions is reduced by the state that they're in. If every time I see somebody, I go into a defensive posture, my vision actually can go from 180 degrees down to as much as 30, depending on how much of a threat, even a social threat, that person is to me. And when people are in this state, when they're in a problem state, oftentimes they're not. It's almost like they're so narrow they can't see other options. And what coaching can do by offering the ideal state, by just simply asking the question, hey, if a miracle happened tonight and everything worked well, what would it look like between the two of you tomorrow? Or if this problem went away, what would it look like? Or if you were in the ideal relationship with this other person who sits next to you, what would that look like? It's called the ideal state, or the ideal future state. A lot of times when you ask people this, they'll say, well, I can't, that can't ever happen, she'll never do that. You have to, as a leader, say, well, what if it did happen? What if it could happen? Just use your imagination. What might be going on? What happens is as you ask this question, this ideal question, you put them in a different state, and you take them from being narrowly focused to being more widely focused. And so people will say, well, maybe we'd be talking to each other more. Okay, what else would you be doing? Well, maybe we'd even get coffee together. What else would you be doing? Maybe we'd be problem solving together again like we used to do. What else? I always ask, what else, what else, what else? I never stop until they're completely out of ideas. And usually, after 4 or 5 great ideas, they start seeing that this thing could really start to happen. And I get them to think about, well, what are some of the ways that they might get there? What are some of the steps that they might take in some of these areas? We'll ask the who, what, how, and when, and open-ended questions in this quadrant as well, all around this ideal state. Get them thinking in the future, get them thinking about the ideal state, not the current state, but the ideal state. What could it look like? What might it look like? What should it look like? And perhaps in the future, this ideal state. You may also ask, are there any barriers that you might happen along the way, and identify 1 or 2 barriers, just to keep in mind that there may be things that they have to overcome. But in the main, keep them focused on what could happen, what should happen in the future in this ideal state. This has been Steve Gladys for Steve Gladys Leadership Partners here at the George Mason Enterprise Center in Fairfax, Virginia, talking about the Coach Approach Leader. Thanks very much.